Hi, this is Whitney from Pearl Soho, and I'm going to show you how to do an Italian bind off, which is also called a long-tail tubular bind off or a ribbed sewn bind off. This bind off is for 1x1 ribbing. You've probably noticed that when you bind off ribbing with a simple knit one, purl one, it can feel taut and unstretchy. But using an Italian bind off creates a beautiful and wonderfully stretchy edge. It continues the knits and purls of the ribbing, but with this nice rounded finish. It's a really great technique for neckbands, cuffs, hems, and button bands. You don't knit this bind off with knitting needles. Instead, you use your tail of yarn and a tapestry needle, kind of like sewing. There's a nice rhythm to doing it, and it looks so satisfying when you're done. I think you're going to love it, so let's get started. Knitting 2 setup rows before you work the bind off adds a nice roundness and stability to the edge. If you're working with a really thick yarn, you may want to skip these 2 rows because they can add too much bulk. But otherwise, whether you're working in the round or knitting flat, your first setup row is the same. You work across all your stitches, knitting the knit stitches and slipping the purl stitches purlwise with the yarn in front. So you bring the yarn between your needles to the front of your work and you slip the next stitch as if you're purling from the left needle to the right needle, just like that. Then you bring your yarn to the back to knit the next stitch. You do this across all your stitches, slipping the purls with the yarn in front purlwise and knitting the knits. If you're working flat, when you get to the end of the row, you turn your work and you work the second setup row exactly the same. Again, knitting the knit stitches and slipping the purl stitches purlwise with the yarn in front. If you're working in the round, your second setup round is the opposite. You slip the knit stitches purlwise with the yarn in back and you purl the purl stitches. So slip the knit stitches purlwise with the yarn in back and purl the purl stitches. And once you finish those 2 rows or rounds, you are ready to work your Italian bind off. You're going to start by cutting your yarn about 4 times longer than the edge you are binding off and threading it onto a tapestry needle. To get the bind off started, you need to work 2 setup steps. First, insert the tapestry needle into the first stitch, which is a knit stitch, purlwise. From right to left through that front leg, draw the yarn through and leave that stitch on the needle. If your ribbing starts with a purl stitch, you should treat the first 2 stitches, a purl stitch and a knit stitch, as one stitch. So insert the tapestry needle purlwise into both of those first 2 stitches. Next, set up step number 2. Bring the tapestry needle to the back of the work and pass it between the first and second stitches from back to front. Then, insert the tapestry needle knitwise into the second stitch, which is a purl stitch. Make sure you're going just through that one stitch. Bring your needle out the back, and now you can pull the yarn through, just like that. Those are your first 2 setup stitches. Now it's time to settle into the 4 steps you'll repeat. Step 1 is to insert the needle knitwise into the first stitch, and then let that stitch fall off the needle, and you can pull your yarn through here. Step 2 is to insert your needle purlwise into what is now the second stitch on your knitting needle, this one. So purlwise from right to left, and draw the yarn through. For step 3, insert the needle purlwise into the first stitch, like this, purlwise, and you can remove that stitch from your knitting needle. Just pull it right off and pull your yarn through. If it's getting stuck down here, you just kind of pull it up, make it tidy, just like that. And the final step, step 4, is to bring the tapestry needle between the first 2 stitches. You've seen this before in your setup stitches, from back to front, and then knitwise into that second stitch and bring the needle out the back. And again, pull the yarn through. Now we're going to repeat those 4 steps again. Insert the needle knitwise into the first stitch and bring that stitch off your knitting needle. That was step 1. Step 2, purlwise into the second stitch. Just like that. Pull the yarn through. Step 3, again, purlwise now into the first stitch on your needle and allow that stitch to come off the needle. Here's where the yarn gets stuck. And then that final step, which is bring the needle between the 2 stitches on your knitting needle and then insert your tapestry needle into the second stitch knitwise, bring it out the back, and pull the yarn through. You'll keep repeating these 4 steps all the way across your work until you have just 2 stitches left on the needle. As you go, you'll find you can combine steps 1 and 2 into one motion, going knitwise into that first stitch and taking it off the needle, then purlwise into the second stitch, and now is when you can draw that yarn through. Then you can insert purlwise into that first stitch and let it off the needle. And then bring your yarn to the back, come up between those first and second stitches, and into the second stitch knitwise, and now pull your yarn through. So that makes it a little bit more efficient if you start to develop little shortcuts like that. So as you go, be sure that the working yarn always stays under the knitting needle here, not crossing over the top, and be sure to also maintain an even tension that matches the gauge of your knitting. I'll come back and show you what to do when you have just 2 stitches remaining. Okay, so when you have worked your bind off all the way until you have just 2 stitches left, all you do is insert the needle knitwise into the first stitch, let it drop off the needle, and then insert it purlwise into the last stitch, off the needle, and pull the yarn through. And you are done. Note that if your row or round ends with a knit stitch, what you're going to do is repeat your 4 steps until you have 3 stitches remaining on the needle, then do steps 1 through 3 and finish by inserting the needle knitwise into the last stitch and let it drop off. If the tension on your bind off seems loose, you can go through and kind of adjust it a little bit, snug it up if you need to, but be careful not to lose that wonderful stretch. And that's it. That's how you work the Italian bind off, long tail tubular bind off, ribbed sewn bind off, or whatever you want to call it. Use it on all of your neckbands, cuffs, and hems. You may never go back.